morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy month of August. How did it get to be August of 2021? Well, we're here today, and you're back for another episode of From the Ground Up, real-time issues with real-time solutions for MWBEs and small businesses, brought to you by Queen Strategy Partners, Nicole Valentine Esquire, Danielle Douglas, and myself, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. We thank you so much for tuning in the first and third Tuesday of every month. I tell you, it's so much going on, but we changed up our schedule a little bit to make sure that we could accommodate for all the great and wonderful things we are all doing, recovering from what we have experienced in this global pandemic. And we pray that everyone stays safe and well. We know we're not completely out of harm's way, but this is your opportunity to listen into the show, gain insight, find ways that you can really take the real-time issues, get the real-time solutions from our amazing and incredible guests, and continue to thrive in 2021. So this is the most exciting part of the show for me. I get to introduce my wonderful, talented, beautiful, dynamic co-host, none other than Miss Danielle Douglas. Over to you, Danielle.
Well, thank you, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. You know how much I love you, so I'm sending the love right back to you today. And we are so excited about this show today. The topic is your collaboration newsworthy? And we have two phenomenal guests who you all are familiar with because they've been on our show before. So they do not need any formal introduction. But the two guests that are with us today, they are here to just build upon the phenomenal show that we had with our other two guests 2 weeks ago. We've been talking about marketing, branding. You know, you have this collaboration going on. You're figuring out that secret sauce of the collaboration. And now you want to tell the world about this phenomenal joint venture partnership and the services and what you have to offer. Well, guess what? These two guests today, Miss Dawn and Miss Tanya, they're going to share their wisdom and their knowledge so that your collaboration is newsworthy. So without further ado, we are going to introduce our guests, Miss Dawn Kelly and Miss Tanya Simmons Reed. And so, like I said, y'all been on the show before. Y'all are not strangers. You know, you are friends of the show. So we're just going to let you share a little bit about what you do. We're going to start with Dawn because Dawn, she wears a lot of different hats. But she, you know how they say jack of all trades, master of none? That doesn't apply to Miss Dawn Kelly. She's jack of all trades and master of all. So she's wearing a different hat today. She's telling us, you know, she's going to share her wisdom with her PR expertise. And with that said, we're turning it over to you, Dawn, to give a little, you know, tell your story from your PR hat on, you know, your PR story.
Okay. History. All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much to my lovely sisters, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant and my golf buddy. And also, I want to say thank you very much to Danielle Douglas, my Streetwise MBA leader, as well as a very good friend as well. And Tanya, I want to say good morning to you. I am Dawn Kelly, as they mentioned earlier. I am also known as PR Maven 17 on Instagram because I spent 35 years of my young 58-year life serving as a public relations and marketing executive at a number of entities that you may be familiar with. One is AARP, which is the American Association of Retired Persons. I spent 9 years working for them, publicizing all of the wonderful things that they do for older Americans. As well, I left AARP, and I came to work here in Jamaica, Queens for York College, which is a 4-year university institution for the City University of New York. And there I promoted all the wonderful things that York College is doing for its adult commuter students, as well as how it anchors the Southeast Queens community and all the things it does for the community. And then after that, I left York College and I went to work for the major financial services firm, Prudential Financial, where I spent nearly 16 years as a public relations executive, publicizing all of the wonderful things that they do around the world. That I would say would be the biggest thing. I've had the opportunity to publicize people, places, and things, not only in America, but in places like Japan, Taiwan, Korea, Poland, Mexico, India, and a couple of more that I can't remember right now. And when I left there, I started my own business. You see my name at the Nourish Spot with my 2 children. And what I did with the Nourish Spot is leverage all of the skills that I had used on behalf of these other entities on behalf of the Nourish Spot. So I'm looking forward to this discussion to talk about how public relations and marketing can help you to make sure that your business stays top of mind for the media.
Thank you, Dawn. And you know, Dawn, when you were on before and we were talking about collaboration, you know, it's some things are so obvious, but we did not highlight this collaborative partnership you have with your 2 children. Yeah. And you talk about it all the time. You always, you know, speak about your children in such high regard. So here we're going to talk about you as the PR maven, but in the context of the partnership and collaboration that you have with your 2 children, we want to hear about that as well. So with that said, we're going to turn it over to none other than one. I got a couple partners in crime today here, right? And the many hats I wear. And Miss Tanya Simmons Reed just happens to be one of my partners in crime. So with that said, Miss Tanya Simmons Reed, you're on mute. You're on mute.
This is live television. So
there we go.
You go, Tanya. There you go.
Live, and I'm trying to be good and be quiet while Dawn is sharing her phenomenal story, and I just got all engulfed. I forgot. So I apologize for that. We have moved forward. I am live. You can hear me now. And I'm just excited to be with you all this morning. Thank you, Dr. Stacy, Danielle, Dawn. I'm amazed. Love everything that you're doing. I was checking out your Instagram this morning and just loving everything that you're putting out. And so congratulations to you. I am Tanya Simmons Reed, and I am the owner, the president, the creative mind behind Skyrocket Communications. I bring over 3 decades of experience in marketing, branding, business development, communications. I've worked with Dudley Products Incorporated, which is a major manufacturer of African-American, texture products now, right? They started off as African-American, but we know a lot of different textures is about hair now. So just work with them. Started as an intern in college at North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, and then went on and was able to segue into a position there and grew up in their company my last role was Director of Marketing Communications. Also worked in radio as a morning show co-host. So a lot of things we're talking about today, PR, things come across the desk. They want to be on the show. What makes us look at them? We'll talk about that later on this morning. Also worked for a mega church as their marketing and communications director. So the faith-based experience as well. And just brought everything together to start my own business and be able to help people that align with products and services that I believe in, that I can help them go down in the trenches, build it, whatever we need to do to help them get off the ground and serve their communities. So I'm excited to be here. Yes, Danielle. we've been in the trenches and continue to be in there together because it requires work. Whatever you do and, that is in your purpose requires work, and you have to be willing to get down and dirty and do the work. So I enjoy getting down and dirty. So I'm here, and let's go.
I love it. Let's go. Let's get it. Okay. All right. I know
wait. And Miss Stacy, Miss Dr. Stacy, we got to say, talking about branding, we have risen well. And we have rested well, and we have risen ready. I kind of that's Tanya. One of Miss Tanya Simmons Reed's sayings that we just kind of monopolized and
we ran with it. We ran with it.
What the kids say? We capped that. I don't even know if I'm using it right. Y'all don't let my kids hear me. No cap. Okay, no cap. I can't get it right. That's why they're like, Ma, who is talking to you?
I need you all to say that again. I gotta write that down.
Rest well, and rise ready. That's Tanya's line. I've been using it a lot, Tanya. I gave you credit the first 3 times, and then I took it.
Yeah, but it's yours. I passed it on. Yeah.
But I just want to shout out my brother Jason in the chat. He is shouting all of you out and carrying on because that's what he does. He's a media person too. So this is your collaboration. Newsworthy is right up his alley. Thank you, Jason, for being here, and everyone else that's tuning in. If you're catching the replay, #replay, go on and share it out. Let folks know what we have here. But just in the intro, before we get into the questions, listening to Dawn's history, listening to Tanya's history, Danielle, I mean, they've been out here. What the kids say, they've been out here doing this work, right? They have been sharing a story. Dawn can share a story faster than my head can spin. I know she posted before. I'll get to the post like 3 days later. I'm like the senior citizen on social media, right?
Wait. So you the senior citizen, Stacy. What am I? And y'all know. Yes. So,
but I appreciate the breadth and depth of what you do from a PR angle and that experience, because as we've been talking on this show about real-time issues and real-time solutions, in the midst of COVID, you couldn't go out and shake people's hands.
That's right.
You couldn't show up at, an event and shimmy on through and spin on your heels and take selfies. You had to figure it out. And there's so much to talk about in how we kick off the show today with how do you really position yourself to be newsworthy? And one of the first questions that we wanted to ask you, what comes first, the brand strategy or the marketing strategy when you're positioning yourselves for being newsworthy?
Well, if I could just start, I believe that you need the full-on marketing strategy because public relations, branding, all of that is underneath that umbrella, if you will. And actually, you will actually execute against different parts of that plan as necessity requires. But I definitely, and Tanya, please jump in. I definitely would recommend that someone or a business would put in place their full-on marketing strategy, which contains the different pieces, which is public relations, which is social media, which is brand strategy, so many different pieces up underneath of that umbrella.
And I agree with you, Dawn. Absolutely. You want that marketing strategy. The marketing strategy is really shaped by your business, your overall business strategy and your brand strategy. And so they're definitely 2 different things, but the marketing strategy is the mother, right? Yeah. The mothership. So you definitely want to have that marketing strategy in place first.
You said the mothership. Are you a Trekkie?
I am.
Not necessarily, but it sounded good. That's the right. It sounded good. No,
it did.
That was a good analogy, the mothership. And I think that's important just to share that perspective because people struggle with what to do first. The horse before the cart before the horse, which one? But when you put it that way, it's the umbrella and all those pieces are a part of it so that you can start mapping out who you're talking to, right? So, I think that's one of the fundamental things that you both have shared when it comes to what comes first. So everyone got that? Take your notes, write it down. It's the mothership of the marketing strategy, and then the brand pieces and the social media and the PR, all of that comes in. Those are the offspring and the little, techno children.
You know what I liken it to, Stacey? I actually liken it to really like an umbrella. If you turn an umbrella inside out, you have the different spokes that are around. And so those different spokes are the different lanes of the marketing strategies that are important for your particular business or campaign.
So, but Dawn, you brought up something, important, because you started the conversation saying how marketing strategy is so important and that you use these different spokes accordingly, right? When they are applicable and when you need to utilize them. So how does collaboration include public relations and or a brand strategy in or under the umbrella of their marketing strategy?
Well, I'm going to use something that's really new, okay? While Stacey and I were playing golf yesterday, my co-owners, my daughter and my son, Owen and Jay Duncan, were running the Nourish Spot. Thank you, Jesus. And so we had a visit by two young twins, Afro-Latino twins called the Caballo twins, and they run a new business called Black and Mobile, which is a competitor to Uber Eats, DoorDash, and all the other food delivery apps. Well, they're new in New York City, and we, the Nourish Spot, is new to partner with them as the first restaurant in Queens. And so it was important for us, number one, to be first. Number two, it was important for us to have third-party validation, which is Black and Mobile, validating the importance of being partnered and linked up with another Black-owned business, especially one that I would say has young entrepreneurs attached to it, not just me, but people their same age. And so together, when we are telling that story, it makes it so much more stronger to the media because it shows how collaboration can extend the lifeline of businesses, not just the Nourish Spot, but also it extends the lifeline for Black and Mobile. And ultimately, it tells a story of how we are impacting New York City's bottom line. And that matters, okay? Anything that's helping our city, people, those are stories that the media wants to tell. And those are stories that the media uses to inspire others to try and do some of the same activities.
Thank you, Dawn. And Tanya?
So I totally agree. I think the key words that I heard Dawn say that I think everyone should really grab hold of is telling your story. That is the important part, telling your story. And your story needs to be authentic. It needs to be real. I've seen businesses that build a story that's not even true. It's like the Wizard of Oz, where you pull the curtain and you're like, wait, that's not what I thought or what was being put out there. And so it's deception. So find out your story. And, we all know this. When you're in business because it's something you believe in and you want to be a solution to a problem and you want to help people, then your story is there. It's built on a story, right? And so how do you tell that story? I believe also with PR, giving creates getting, right? So when you create opportunities to be able to give back, whether it's giving information, it's giving resources, it's giving your products and services away. Back to school is coming up. A lot of salons and businesses are doing cut students' hair for free, help them get clothes to get to school, or if they have uniforms, we're giving away money to help them get uniforms. Those are all newsworthy PR things that are not, and this is my thing, and this is where I'm really big with my clients is, I'm not just going to help you because you want to do this to get in the news. No, you have to really want to do this, and then let's get you in the news, because it's just not genuine and authentic. And I think people need to do a heart check, because a lot of times people just want to get free publicity, and it's their heart isn't in it. So
that's a good point. But hold on, Tanya, hold on for a second, because somebody told me that any publicity is good publicity, because some people purposely go out there and do crazy stuff and do things that are not righteous or with integrity because they're going to get some news around it. What's your thoughts on that, Boo? Spill the tea.
That is not a core value of Skyrocket Communication or Tanya Simmons Reed. So, you know, there are always people out there doing things, but you know, that's on them. Integrity is key in my book.
Okay.
And I agree with Tanya. I have heard that, you know, I'm older and I've been in this business, and I've heard that pretty much my whole career. But I would tell you, you don't want what comes with the bad publicity.
Right.
Okay? So, I mean, there's a lot of work, as Tanya said early on. Marketing and public relations involves a lot of research, a lot of, you know, back work, you know, work that people are not really seeing. And so when you get yourself in those situations where you have to fight fires because you said something stupid, like look at the baby right now, you know, you don't want to be in that position, because it really is a very deep hole to dig yourself out of.
And crisis PR, crisis management is a whole nother thing. So,
yeah, Miss Olivia Hope
that is an industry that, you know,
an expensive industry, because crisis management it takes a lot to get people out of the pit that they did for themselves. So I just wanted to put it out there, because some people promote that, you know, any publicity is good publicity. So, and we have small businesses listening, MWBE. So we just want to make sure we cover it all before we continue with the questioning, because what you're sharing is important. I just want to circle back before we continue on the story and knowing what your story is, because that's critically important for the news to even care about what it is that you're doing, and not to fabricate a story, just what's really aligned with the product or the service, the institution, whatever it is that you're doing, that naturally rolls off of you. Because can't people tell if you're like making it up?
Absolutely.
Media can, definitely journalists can, they see right through it.
And the thing too is to realize, you know, if you're looking at your generations, you know, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they look for authenticity, you know, and they're about being socially responsible too. And they're going to look at, you know, what you're doing. And if they think that you're not right or you're not doing right, trust me, it will travel. I love the Beat Out Sassoon commercial. And they'll tell two friends. And so, word of mouth is still the winner.
Oh, you brought it back. Everybody has dated themselves on this show.
Yeah.
But that's a classic. Even if you're in learning now, you need to research that campaign, because it's one of the best.
It's funny, Tanya, that you said that, because if you go back on my Instagram, probably during COVID, I actually used that exact language, because it can work two ways. It can work against you, but it can also help you as a business or as an individual with a campaign. You know, word of mouth, as she said, is number one. Okay. And people are very quick to tell somebody if they had a terrible experience, more so than if they had a good experience. So it is important to be authentic. And I wanted to say one thing about the story too, Stacey. You know, you need your story, but your story also has to be able, you have to be able to articulate to a journalist why your story matters to masses of people. Okay. Why should people read about you, watch you, listen to you? So you have to be, your story has to be relatable to the lives and the mores and values of the people that are reading, watching, or listening that particular communication medium.
And I've been waiting patiently, because we've been talking about the importance of your message and being authentic, and all of that is really, really important. But in the age of this cancel culture, how do you operate with intention? Of course, that's part of the authenticity, but there needs to be a level of intentionality. Does that tie into your marketing strategy? Because you just can't put anything and everything out on, let's say, social media, because it travels like a wildfire. So that's part of branding and controlling the image, so to speak. There's a level of authenticity, but there's a level of intentionality that has to happen as well with your brand, your image. So can you both talk to that as well, on how do you manage that so you do not become a victim of cancel culture?
I think that it's really about your company identifying who we want to be. You know, there are companies that get naked, right? They're very transparent. That's their style. They're going to tell you anything, but you have to decide, what are you comfortable with as the owner, your executive team, and making sure that that strategy is around that. What do we want our voice to be? What is our voice on social media in the community? And just make sure that voice is consistent on all media platforms, not just social media, but you should feel that voice when you walk into your business or have an encounter with anybody from your team. So I just think that it's really strategic planning of what our conversation, what our voice, what are we going to share, because sometimes people like to see behind the scenes of a business. They like to see that struggle, that is not all pretty, and that makes them buy in even more. So it's just about what you want as the owner and what you're willing to share, and how naked are you willing to get with your clients and your consumers.
And I would agree with Tanya wholeheartedly. I think that it's all about controlling your narrative, right? You want to make sure that anything and everything you do actually aligns with that strategy that you laid out initially, okay? And if you are clear about the strategy, even though strategy can evolve, if you are clear about your strategy, you will know what steps fall in line and align with what you need to do, and those that don't, you won't engage in them.
I love that. So I'm just curious. Danielle brought up the cancel culture. What is Black Twitter for those who don't know?
It's a tool that you can use to your benefit, or it's a tool that can destroy you.
Exactly.
So it's a tool, because some people don't know what it is. And, we're talking about, being wary or leery of the cancel culture. So is that a person? Is it an institution? Is it a thing?
It's a phenomenon. That's what I would say.
It's a movement. Yeah.
Yes, it's a phenomenon. Mm-hmm. What it is that African Americans by far are most of the users. They represent most of the users on social media, and Twitter was first, and so there are quite a few African Americans that are on Twitter, and they actually can make things happen. They can create shows. They can make sure that shows stay on TV. They can make your brand stand out, or they can also, as Danielle said, cancel your brand. And right. So you want to make sure that if you are engaging on Twitter and you have Black influencers, Black Twitter influencers as part of your cohort, if you will, or your network or following, whatever you want to call it, that you make sure that your integrity is number one, that you're authentic number two, and that honesty, honesty is reverberates through everything you do, because they will find you and they will out you.
Right.
It's not funny, but the way you said it.
The way you said it.
And it all boils down to doing what you say you're going to do. Yes. Right. That's basically, and they're a community with power, with influence. And so you just need to be on top of your game and delivering and doing what you say you're going to do. Like Dawn said, if you're authentic, your integrity, you're doing it, then you're not going to have a problem. But if you say something and you don't follow through with it, and you make a promise, they're going to know and say something. So.
And shut it down. I'm just, we're just here to report the news. We didn't create it. We're just here. The information, real-time issues, and real-time solutions. We're just trying to warn you. You might not want to mess with that. So now that we've been talking about a couple of things when we just telling your story, being authentic, having integrity, but what would you say would be the Dawn 5 tips, the Tanya 5 tips on what media outlets really look for. So how can we dig a little deeper? Someone is really good. I'm glad from the ground up is sharing this. What would you give us like 5 additional things, like if they're trying to just figure out and evaluate, is this newsworthy?
And wait, and can I just build on that? And that is in the context of collaboration and partnership.
Okay. All right. I hope you guys can hear me because it looks paused on my side. But here's my 5 tips, and I'm gonna use the Black and Mobile collaboration as the example because it's real live. It's happening today, right? So when I decided to reach out to the media to tell them about it, I thought about a couple of things. Okay, one, August is National Black Business Month. So look.
Wait. I'm sorry, Dawn. That deserves a sound effect from Miss Dr. Stacey NC Grant.
Well, look, no sound effects today.
Okay.
So that's number 1. Look for an angle, right? Look for an angle that is important to the population, right? The national population. So National Business Month is a angle. So that's number 1. Number 2, we are still living in a time where African Americans are kind of like, top of mind for the country because of all of the racial tension that we've gone in, and especially entrepreneurs, small businesses, okay, because of how COVID has affected small businesses, specifically BIPOC businesses. So that's another angle for you, okay? Number 3, all right, small businesses are the engine of the American economy. More people are hired by small businesses than corporate America, okay? So 3rd angle. So when I'm reaching out to the media, I'm reaching out to them to say, this is a reason why you should tell this story. Okay, not because it's just the Nourish Spot, not because it's Black and Mobile, but together Black and Mobile are joining 2 small businesses, and we're growing. And why is that important? Because Black and Mobile is going to hire people, and because the Nourish Spot will be able probably to hire some more people and extend the reach of our food in communities that are often food insecure. So that's 3. Number 4. Now, I said this earlier and I'm saying it again. How do people benefit from reading this? 1, people know that they have another food delivery app because we're still in a pandemic and people are still not coming outside as much as they want to. So that's number 1. Number 2, it also shows that small businesses are growing. That's number 2. Number 3, it shows that young business by leaps and bounds. So there's a way, and so it's motivating and inspiring. And so the last one, I guess the last reason I think that a reporter would tell the story is because it's Queens-based. So I would be able to go to mostly Queens-based reporters, and this is a perfect story for them because it's talking about how a Queens business is going to be expanding because of this new collaboration with a business from Philadelphia. And those are my 5.
And you sticking to it.
Yeah. And those were a good 5. Look,
yes.
You just let it rip. You know what it's what you do. It just comes like boom. Here go to 5. 1 is National Black Business Month. 2, this is about the getting back all the things that are doing the disparities for Black businesses, and just breaking down. That's real life. We talk to MWBEs and small business. A majority of our audience are Black and brown, right? So this relates. We do have everybody tuning in, but here's the reality: we're also Black women.
Yes.
So you're also talking about a layer of a Black woman owned business working
Yeah.
with another. I don't know if Black and Mobile is female run or just Black owned, but those are little things that you can add in. I love how you broke that down, because it tells our businesses, when you're building a collaboration, when you're working with someone else, that's when it becomes even sweeter.
Yes.
When they can see it's not just your business, which we know it's fabulous, but if you're working with another business and that collaboration now can reach more people, who doesn't want to cover that? We're tired of the humdrum. How many of you remember the play, Your Arms Too Short to Box with God?
Yes. Yes.
Don't nobody bring me no bad news.
Bad news.
I don't like bad news. So we need some good news. And what you're saying is this is motivational, inspirational. So it'll be something that people will be attracted to and want to tell, because it makes their viewership go up on the news channels if they have something good to share. So I love those 5+, because you gave some bonuses there. But Tanya, I know you're waiting to give yours. I just had to throw that in there.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, definitely, Dawn, you took one of mine with the angle. Make sure that you look at what are you doing that's timely and relevant. What's relevant? That's a key word, and that is always newsworthy. And then, keep your media list up to date. Like, how many businesses actually have a media list of who's you can send: newspapers, television stations, internet, radio, and internet mediums, podcasts. Who do you have? Do you have a list of media that you can reference and know who to send it to, right? Because something that happens may not need to go to everybody. You may know exactly, okay, this needs to go to the business section of this paper, not to the general editor. But if you know these people, then that really helps. And also making sure that you build relationship with your media, because a lot of times they will come to you as the credible source. When there's a story that comes over their desk, they'll bring it to you and say, hey, we need to talk to somebody about this. Would you be willing to talk to us? And check in with your media people, right? Don't just reach out to them when you want to be in front of the news or you want them to cover something for you, but check in and, stay on their mind, stay in front of them like you do with your clients, right? Stay in front of them so that they know, okay, this is who I can reach out to. And submit an article, do some writing. Contributing writers are needed on a lot of different platforms now. And, because content is king, and it's always, but if you're able to create an article about something that you're doing in your area, maybe it's like with Dawn, it's a recipe that she wants to share. She build her own column in the paper, right? So that's going to be something, because they need content. It's going to make them look great, and they're providing this to their community. So why not? And then, the follow-up is critical to me. And don't think that you have to have the PR on the front end. Get it on the back end. Take pictures, tell your story. What kind of impact did your event make on your community? How did it help your business grow? So these are all things that I want to get out there. I think that was 5. Yes. So I appreciate it. And hopefully it made sense and you all got it.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely made sense. I have a point, but go ahead, Danielle.
I'm sorry, Stacey. I just wanted to say, Tanya, while we're waiting, I think, something happened with Dawn's text. I'm sure she's going to get back on. But it's something that you mentioned earlier from your radio days. You did talk about what makes a good story even for radio. And so as Dawn is coming back on, can you build upon that as well as what, your tips, drill down a little more from your radio experience?
Absolutely. All of this kind of was into place. So a lot of times when we get a lot of news feeds, we produced our own morning show. I also had a PR segment every Sunday that I was able to bring people on and do stories called Straight Talk. And so just looking at, number one, was it relevant, right? We needed to talk about things that were relevant. Like Dawn says, Black Business Month. So if somebody wants to tell their story, how they built their business, that's perfect for us to put on. If somebody was doing something that was in the community, giving back, doing something that was going to provide free services, free products to people in the community. Our goal with our story is that it impacts the majority, not the minority. Yes. So it's got to make an impact, not just to a few people, but how can a mass number of people, because our goal is to build our listenership, right? We want to be number one in the triad, which we were, by the way. So we want to make sure, because what happens is a lot of people will try to say, well, instead of paying for an ad, I want to get free. I want to get on the morning show. I want them to do a live interview. Or I want to be on this. I want to be on, that. So how can it be a give back where we're not just giving you a free ad, but you're offering something free and really helping the community? Maybe it's a story about someone who's overcome something, a triumph story that's going to encourage and empower people. So those are the things that we would look at. Also, professionalism. If we reach out to you and you didn't call back in a timely manner, we're moving on to the next person.
Yes.
So you got to make sure you're checking your messages, or, you're accessible, because news is on time. You might get a call this afternoon to be on it tonight or to 6 o'clock. Are you ready? Are you in ready position? So.
Not getting ready. You got to be
Are you in the ready position?
Yes, Tanya.
That's a whole nother.
That's another one, Tanya.
Yes.
Let me say this. Are there typos in your press release?
No.
Those pass on. If you can't spell right, or you spell our name wrong, or something's off, honestly, it's like, let's go to somebody who's professional. If they can't get this right and they're trying to reach out to us and they couldn't get this right, then I'm just being honest.
She's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. And I just want to belabor a point that she made about relationships. So many of the journalists that I have relationships with, I have cultivated them over the years that I've been working with all of those different companies that I outlined earlier. So many of them, when I call them up, I'm not just calling them up to talk about what's the issue du jour. I want to know about their family. I want to know about what's going on in their life that makes them happy, because you have to remember that reporters are people too, and so, and they care about issues. And so another thing that's really important, and something that I used to do, especially when I worked with a financial services firm, is that I would read the work of the reporters. I would watch the work of the reporters. I would listen to the work of the reporters. So you could get a feel for how they approach their particular stories, because all of them have a different approach to how they might outline a story or an article that they are going to promote. And so that's really important, that they know that you're also just as in tune to them and what moves them as you want them to be in tune to the message that you are promoting that particular minute. So I think that that's really, really important.
I love that you shared that, because that, once again, relationship building is important, right? It's you just need to have that relationship building in order to long term. And you don't have to be the one, right, Tanya? Right, Dawn? If you have someone on your team that is dedicated to your media contact, then they can build a relationship with that person. You can check in with them. You can remember them on special occasions. But I love that you said they're people too.
Yes.
Right. So maybe whatever your news is promoting, like let's use the example that Dawn gave earlier with the nurse spot and Black
and Mobile.
And Mobile. Look, I knew I would get it. I was like, it's Black and something. So with that new partnership, what if one of the reporters could experience the service?
Yes.
Like you gave them a coupon to use Black and Mobile to get something from the nurse spot. They get a firsthand experience on what it is that they're reporting on. They'll be more passionate about it. Like when they tell the story, you see their energy change. They're like, girl, I ordered on Black and Mobile and they came and brought me an extra lollipop or a piece of chocolate. I don't know. I'm just making it up. But that is a good point about that relationship building, because I know for me, being in businessforever.com, it's the relationships that have sustained and that people remember the kindness of how you treat them, how you make them feel. What did Maya Angelou say? People forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And if we can do that to our media friends, then that just helps us be in a position to leverage newsworthy collaborations. I'm just saying.
And I think also just realizing too that, they have competitiveness in their arena, right? So they could win an award for your story, right? If you bring them something unique, like you have to think about, make it a win-win. And if you bring them into that environment, they get this story. They're competitive. You know, Dawn can attest. You know, they're trying to put the best story out, even if it's on the news, one newscast or one newspaper. Who has the best story? Who had the most emotional content? Who touched all these different touch points? You know, their editor is going to say, "Great story." You know, they're going to get celebrated, and so, you know, you also want to think about it from that end too. How can you help them win, right? I'm going to give you an exclusive. You know, I'm going to let you be the only one that I'm going to talk to you about this story, and invite them to your events, invite media to your events or to your meetings, you know, whether they come or not, hey, but invite them, put it out there. Eventually somebody's going to come and see, or maybe it's a day where they need to do something. They need to cover it. So they're going to be there and share your story.
And
I just wanted to jump in because this kind of ties into what you said. So we're talking about the relationships and the feeling, and that's very important. But you also said something that is equally as important, and that is doing your due diligence. And so we had one of our questions was, how do you coordinate your brand story to be applicable for social media channels as well as traditional media? And so when you pretty much answered it, you may want to build upon it, but you answered it when you said, do your due diligence. That's how you begin to coordinate your brand story and understanding, one, the outlets that can best utilize your story, and two, more specifically, those journalists and who they are and how you need to package that story, particularly for that journalist. So Dawn, I just wanted to say that's the part art, part science. That's the relationship with doing the research and the due diligence and marrying those two together to have a winning brand story that you can deliver to social media or traditional media. So I'm going to let you take it away from there. You could build upon that as well as what you were about to say.
Thank you, Danielle. And yes, research is important. I know Tanya would agree with me. You need some stats, you know, and I would say that stats are sexy. Okay. When you're able to back up your assertion with some statistics, that makes your story even stronger, and the relevancy increases as well. And so it's really important to do the research, you know, to find out if there's any special observances going on during that month, to find out if there's anybody that's, you know, celebrity or influencer working in the area or that sphere of what you're doing, and try to put all of that together when you approach the media professional. Something that I wanted to say, just as examples of what Tanya was saying, because she also gave you all some really good advice about inviting media to your events. So when I worked at Prudential, I'm going to give you guys some ideas. Some of the things that we did is we actually hosted events just for journalists, and I'm not talking about press conferences where you have your executive at the mic, and you know you got all these media standing around with a mic. No, I'm not talking about that. We would hold luncheons or dinners, okay, or breakfast events where we would bring in the important people on that particular initiative or campaign, and we would bring media professionals together, you know, give them some coffee and a bagel and let them have immediate access to the expert. That's another thing that journalists love. They love to have that untethered access to experts. So if you could do things of that nature, it's important. We also like fun stuff. So, you know, I'm representing a food store. So yes, maybe I could give them a coupon for a new smoothie or something like that. But if you're a handbag designer, maybe you want to make a little wallet, you know, and send it out to the reporters and say, look what I made, you know, in the USA, you know, as vegan leather, you know, you got to hit those touch points, right? Those buzzworthy moments. Those are the things that reporters are looking for. And then last but not least, another example, when I worked at York College, the president was having a whole lot of problems with the faculty. And one of the reporters that I called, well, one of the reporters that showed up at the school had actually been called by the faculty. So when she showed up to the school and I presented myself, she lost it. She said, "Oh my God, I remember you. I worked with you when you were at AARP and I got an Emmy. Anything you need me to do, I'm going to do." And so what the faculty thought they were going to do,
wow,
the president actually turned around in my favor because I had helped that lady get an Emmy in a previous job.
Yeah.
So it pays to be top of mind for journalists, and it pays. Got another one. It pays not just to tell your story, but also to give them the opposing story as well. Yeah. You know why? Because then they know that your integrity is such that you care about a full story being told and not just your side.
Right. Amen. Well, Dawn, can I say I just had an aha amen moment, because when you shared about the York experience you had, that reminded me of, and please forgive me, but in the Bible, when the Philistines wanted the prophet to, give curses on the Israelites, and all he could do was speak blessings. So that reporter came, and they were like, "She's gonna tell, we're gonna hear," and all she could do, she ended up blessing, for you, like she take. So anyway, that's what came to mind. I kind of digressed a little bit, but that's what came to mind for me.
That's good.
That's a good one. Yeah, but it's true. And look, that's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show.
Favor ain't fair, the favor ain't fair.
Right.
But that was a great testimony of what you sow, you reap.
Yes.
So, and sometimes you reap in places where you didn't sow, and you didn't know she got an Emmy, but just because of what you did, that brought back this full circle moment that you were able to capitalize on. Oh, this was a good show today. I can't believe we coming down to the last few minutes. Jason said it's been on fire. He's been scribing everything that y'all are saying.
Thank you, Jason.
I want to add something. I want to add something really quick before we move to our next question. But I think it's important that when you are organizing your brand story, that, and this is again with authenticity and integrity, like Dawn and I've been talking about, but we say fake it till you make it, but please don't. That's a direct conflict with authenticity. And, add visual appeal to your story. Not just the words, but we need visuals. That's going to get you the attention. That creates the engagement. So make sure that you're getting nice pictures. And, as social creatures with the fake it till you make it, a lot of times we try to make ourselves, we think PR is like, make yourself bigger than you really are. But, since we go back to what Danielle just shared regarding the Bible, people actually champion David over Goliath, right?
Yes.
And so you have to look at that and just be authentic and know that it's a process. Trust the process. As your business grows, you'll grow, but it's okay to be in infancy stage right now. That's beautiful. We all started there, right? And so I just wanted to put that out there too, as you're organizing your brand story.
And I would like to add, it's just similar to what Tanya said. It's true. If you build it, the media will come, okay? If you build it right, if you're doing all the appropriate things, okay? If you are helping people, they will show up. I have so many instances of that, but I'm going to give one. Last week or the week before last, WCBS News Radio 88 posted a story about the Nourish Spot. I would tell you guys now, I will pitch any journalist. Okay. I am not shy. Okay.
You're a PR maven.
Yes, right. I'm not shy. But I would tell you that this particular opportunity was like manna from heaven. It came from nowhere. And so what I would say is that good PR begets more good PR, because journalists are also watching, listening to what their competitors or their friends are writing or broadcasting about. And so I'm positive that they saw something from someone else, okay? And they said, you know what? We want to do a small business spotlight, and we're going to contact Miss Kelly at the Nourish Spot, okay? And I'm deeply grateful for it, but that also is something for all of us that are entrepreneurs. We need to be mindful of that. Good publicity will beget you more good publicity.
And make sure that you are true to who you are. I guarantee you, they Googled Dawn Kelly, they went to her website, they went to her Instagram, they made sure that she was legit. She was the original Dawn Kelly of the Nourish Spot, and she was going to have, she was about business and she was professional, right? So make sure do this. At least I recommend weekly now, but monthly, definitely. Just Google your name, see what comes up. You stay on top of what is being out there about you, because it does matter. You may not think it matters, but it does matter. Your reviews matter. What your customers, your clients are putting out there about you matters, because that is your trail. That's your reputation. That precedes you. It's out there before you even get there. They already have made up in their mind whether or not they want to do business with you.
We need sound effects.
We need sound effects. I gotta make it organically today.
Yes,
this was that y'all are dropping gems, bombs, all sorts of things, as the kids say. This is incredible, and we're less than 5 minutes away from the top of the hour. I can't believe it. What can we say but thank you for sharing your brilliance, the importance of this. You touched on where we were going to land up. What do you put out on social media? How do you build those assets? You've given us all of what we need to start with that roadmap of being clear about your story, being authentic, showing the humble beginnings. People want to see that. People love the hero story, right? So if you share it, there's no shame in sharing where you started, where you're growing to, and what you're aspiring to be. That's in alignment. You don't have to pretend that you're in a music video with $3 million worth of necklaces and you don't own it, you rented it, right? So you want to be able to be consistent with what you're aspiring to do and who you are. And having two PR experts, I want you all to share how they can find you, because folks are fired up. Jason is like, this is my tribe, because that's what he does as well in mastering media. So how can they find you before we close out and Danielle gives our final words for today?
Well, for me, I would ask anyone that would like to talk to me about public relations, please link in with me. I am on LinkedIn as Dawn Kelly, DAWNKELLY. And you can see my background, and you can see some of the work that I've done and that I'm very, very proud of. In addition to that, I'm on Instagram at PR Maven 17. And of course, I would be remiss if I don't say, come, let us nourish you at the Nourish Spot. Follow us at thenourishspot.com. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm on Instagram at Skyrocket Comms, so Skyrocket COMMS, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well under my name, Tanya Simmons Reed, which you see there on the screen. And you can also, if you want to email me, all of that information is on both of those platforms. But thank you so much for the opportunity. Dawn, I'm following you. And
yes, I'm going to follow you too.
I love your energy. Yes, I will be by the Nourish Spot when I come to the city next time, to Queens.
And listen, if you ever need anyone to help you with media relations, listen, it's all about negotiations, sis. I'm all for collaboration.
Let's collaborate.
I love to pitch stories. I'm an expert.
Okay, I love that. Thank you.
All right, we're making another collaboration happen right
yes,
now.
In real time.
In real time.
And Dr. Stacey,
I'm sorry, Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I so appreciate, I'm going to try not to get emotional, but I so appreciate you young ladies. I appreciate you including me from the ground up. This is not the first time. I know it won't be the last. And I appreciate you. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Dawn. We appreciate you as well. That's why we bring you on again and again. And Tanya, the same for you. I love you, ladies. All three of you. And I know I sincerely mean that. And I just want to say, because I know we got a minute and a half to go, I do want to give a shout out to Miss Dr. Stacey and C. Grant, because we've been talking about authenticity. We've been talking about what our passion is. And I did want to, on her behalf, share with you that she is doing a 3-day Faithpreneur weekend starting, forgive me, Stacey, August 12th or 13th? 13th? Stacey? Oh, she's
12 to the 14th.
12 to the 14th. And so I want to do that for her because guess what? You know, last year, which I'm doing again this year, but we spent a whole session on the Black Business Owners Forum and talking about it. Whose idea was that? That was Stacey's. And we didn't get to do that for Stacey this year. But can I tell you, you all know she's a woman with a sincere heart. I always say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Stacey is a soother of my soul. She knows that. I tell her that all the time. If I need anything, Stacey is there. I mean, when I tell you she's there for me in the crunch, it could be whatever. It could be when my grandfather died, she came over, her and her husband cleaned my front yard. It could mean that it could mean Excel and she's so busy. I'm like, Stacey, I need help with this Excel document. I can't tell you all the number of times she has helped me, but I say that to say she's a woman with integrity. We don't have time for her to tell her story, but it's based on the heart and the love she has for her grandmother. So Faithpreneur Weekend, check it out. Stacey, you give the website because I took over a minute, but please tell them and give the website. And that's how we're ending today.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. I love you. I love all of you. Thank you for that. Faithpreneurweekend.com. You can come with a virtual sponsored seat because of the partnerships, collaborations, and relationships. Absolutely zero cost to you. Use the code QBP for Queensborough President. We partner with the Queensborough President with National Black Business Month. Dawn Kelly, the Nourish Spot, is catering the breakfast for us for the days. I mean, so, you know, this is in real time. I really love you, Danielle, for sharing that. I want everybody that's listening, go ahead and register. I mean, it's a $497 ticket that you're getting for a penny because PayPal will charge you in the system when you go in. Okay, so just go on and register. And I appreciate just the love. This is what we do from the ground up, real-time issues and real-time solutions. This is a solution for those of you that are building your businesses with the cornerstone of faith, period. We have the information, the content, and the relationships to really scale where you're going as economic drivers of our community. So thank you, thank you. Love you all. Dawn, I love you. Tanya, I love you. Kaya, I love you. Have an amazing day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Until 2 weeks.
Yes.